A century later, we look back on those valiant African American women and men who defended themselves and their communities. What lessons now? Science tells us that for every action there is an equal but opposite reaction. When blacks succeed, too often the reaction of white decision makers is to try to keep the Negro in his place. But here, now, a century beyond the moment, we come again to the contradiction that is America. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The right to vote is the core lesson to be learned from the events leading up to and following the 1906 Atlanta race riot. Wait. This just in from the Boston Globe, Dateline, July 23, 2006. The Bush administration is quietly remaking the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division. They are filling the permanent ranks with lawyers who have strong conservative credentials but little experience in civil rights. Documents show that only 42% of the lawyers hired since 2003 have civil rights experience. In the 2 years before the change, 77% of those who were hired had civil rights backgrounds. And this from the great state of Ohio. New rules that put voter registration canvassers at risk of becoming felons if they fail to follow procedures. And this from Georgia, Saturday, September 2nd, 2006. The Atlanta Constitution reports, fighting over photo ID resumes. Georgia's effort to require voters to show photo identification at the polls is back on for now.
With reference to Negro suffrage, I advocate the retention of those things which we now have to preserve white supremacy, namely the poll tax and white primaries. I also advocate the adoption of all additional legislation which can be constitutionally based to make white supremacy easy and permanent. In 37 counties in Georgia, more Negroes than white men have paid their poll tax. In all local elections, as matters now stand, the ignorant and purchasable Negro has a vote equal to that of the white man. Without further argument, it is clear that great benefits will come to the people of Georgia by the adoption of a constitutional amendment, formed after the lines of those amendments adopted in our sister southern states, which will disfranchise 90% of the Negroes of the state through an educational requirement for voting, and the right to vote will be preserved to the white men of Georgia.
What happens when blacks succeed? The question may now be recast. What happens when average working women and men seek to exercise their constitutional rights? Stay tuned as we follow this developing story